gentlemen, to another installment of What's in the Box. Before I begin, I'm not sure if you guys can hear the fan I have going. It is ridiculously warm in here, so I have a fan going. Hopefully that's not going to drown me out. It's not going to be too, loud. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before I begin. And now we get to check out last month's offer from Comic Bento. Now, if you guys happen to remember when I covered the May box, I asked the people from Comic Bento if they could try to get June's box within the calendar month of June. They came very close. This thing actually arrived in the mail on the 2nd. So, at least they're getting closer. Now, speaking of fans, since I mentioned I have one on in here, the theme this month is Fan Power, which I guess means, what? A bunch of books fans have been requesting? Is that the... I'm not totally sure. Oh, and similar to last month, I've gotten a bunch of the previous comic... I hate these little airbags. I've gotten a bunch of the books from previous Comic Bentos read. I'm going to be reviewing those after we see what's in here. Now comes the fun part. I get to try to take the bag out, not look at it, while I cut through the bag. Come on, you piece of shit. Yeah, and I'm also trying not to look at the viewfinder, because I know if I flash the front, I'll be able to see a cover, and I don't want that happening. Alright, toss that off there, put this right in the box. Okay, now everything's good. I think I saw a flash of red, but I didn't see any titles. So why don't we take a look at the first book. Well, nope, first thing is the card. I'll put that off to the side there. Alright, so our first book in the Fan Power Month of Comic Bento is Armor Hunters from Valiant. I've never heard of... Okay, you know what? I say that every month whenever a Valiant book comes in. I've never heard of that, or I've never read that. Actually, wait, I think I did hear of Armor Hunters once. I think this was in, like, a different box. I was watching somebody open, like, a, Loot fucking Crate or something after I gave up on Loot Crate, and it had, like, Armor Hunters issue 1 in it. Or it was some other box had, like, a, foil variant cover of Armor Hunters issue 1. Now I get to give this thing a read. Back says it has something to do with Exo fucking Man of War. That ought to be sort of cool. Alright, that's not too bad. Valiant. Still haven't read any of the other Valiant books that have come in, minus the, first 2, maybe 3. I really should get on that. Alright, what's the next one? The next book is another Valiant book. God, please don't tell me this is a whole month of Valiant. That would kind of suck. It's a book called Faith, which I remember hearing vaguely. The year's most talked about new series, featured by Ain't It Cool News, A+, The Atlantic, The AV Club, BBC, Blaster, oh Jesus Christ. And then just a bunch of 5-star ratings. There is barely even a summary on the back. Well, at least as with many of the other Valiant titles, the artwork is alright. So, oh yeah, Faith was that one everyone was talking about because she was a plus-size superhero, which I kind of rank up there along with the black Captain America and the female Thor and the Muslim Ms. Marvel is pandering bullshit that has no reason to be. Especially since Black Captain America was Falcon. He could have just stayed as Falcon. Alright, what's the next one? Oh yeah, this is a whole month of Valiant books. Harbinger Wars. Yeah, I'm probably just going to have to start marathoning a bunch of these Valiant books to get these damn things read. Harbinger I have some vague memories of, but I don't really know anything. Harbinger Wars. This might not... Valiant's first crossover event begins here. Wait, Valiant's first crossover event? So, is this set before The Valiant? Because that was a massive crossover. That was like the first book I got out of a Comic Bento, if memory serves, was The Valiant, which was like a big crossover of all Valiant's main major characters. And it wasn't too bad. Is this set before that? Or are they just not counting that? There was also that other one I read. Can't think of the title. It has something to do with like an astronaut, or like a Russian astronaut fought against a bunch of the Valiant heroes. That technically would count as a crossover as well. So, is this before both of those? I have no earthly clue. I really should read more Valiant, and like I said, I've got enough of their fucking books here. I'm probably going to have to. Alright, I think we've got one left. And it's Harbinger Renegades, so it's another Harbinger book. So yeah, specifically this covers Harbinger issues 6, 8, 9, and 10. Wait, why 6, 8? Oh no, it's 6 through 10, but the covers on the back are just 6, 8, 9, and 10. Seemed kind of weird that they would have possibly skipped issue 7, but no, it's all 5 issues. This seems kind of flimsy for 5 issues. But then again, and apparently just saw Faith in here, so apparently Faith was a member of Harbinger. Oh yeah, and she's on the cover too. Duh. So yeah, she was apparently a member of Harbinger. Would never have guessed. Is that it? Yes, it is. Alright, well, you know, when I heard that it was going to be fan power, I was kind of expecting better than a Valiant-themed month. I was expecting, like, I don't know, maybe like follow-up books to the stuff that was really popular. It's like, we got Captain America, the Winter Friggin' Soldier. Could we have gotten the volume after that to get the next, like, 8, maybe 12 issues of Captain America, just to sort of help further along the story? Or, you know, you sent us fucking Blackguard. You could have sent us, and you also sent us Project Superpowers too. You could have sent some more Superpowers books. You could have maybe found it in your heart to give us more fucking DC, because you don't give us any DC books, Bento, okay? I'm totally happy I'm getting Valiant and I'm getting Dynamite, but the fact of the matter is, if memory serves, I've gotten one DC book out of this, and that's sad, because DC publishes some damn solid stuff, and we never get to see any of it. So, you know, very fact that I got a bunch more Valiant books I can add on to the pile of unread Valiant books, it's fine, but it's not exactly something that I would go out of my way to, you know, want to really read. And frankly, the only reason why I'm even going to read these is because I have them. So, yeah, let me take a look at that fucking card. Okay, Valiant and Comic Bento. This month, we here at Comic Bento are glad to join forces with a publisher we are huge fans of. Oh, fuck you. Yeah, it's fan power because they're fans of Valiant. Fuck that shit. Yeah, well, you know what there, Bento? Valiant is okay, but this feels like kind of a waste. This, I think, is the first time I've ever felt really let down by a Comic Bento box. That is saying a lot, man. It's probably also because they picked a publisher who I don't give the slightest inkling of a fuck about. I mean, it was kind of interesting when they gave a whole box of Dynamite books. I mean, that seemed kind of different because Dynamite has, you know, a lot of varying titles, and Valiant, a lot of their stuff feels samey, feels way too similar. There's just not a whole lot of variety there. The very fact that we have a Harbinger book, then we have Harbinger Wars, then we have Faith, who apparently is a character in Harbinger, you know, that covers 3/4 of this fucking book is all Harbinger shit. You know, and I know Valiant has more. All right? I mean, fucking A. You guys have sent so many Valiant books, and I just keep putting them on a pile going, I will read them later, I'm going to read them later. The Valiant ones, honest to God, are like the ones I'm the least interested in reading. And now I got 4 more I can throw onto the growing pile. That is not a good thing. Now, I'm going to go and grab the books I read over the past month, which I got from previous Comic Bentos, and I'm going to let you guys know what I thought of those. Just give me one moment. Alright guys, I'm back and I've got the pile. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of books lately. I have been sick for like the past week, so I've had plenty of time to fucking read. We're going to start with 2 books that came in last month's box. One of them is the one that a lot of people were looking forward to. Shit, when I saw it, I was psyched for it, and that was X-Men Days of Future Past. If there's any problem I have with this thing, it is that, you know, I don't know much about the Days of Future Past arc. I didn't know how many issues it ran. When I heard this thing was collecting 7 issues worth of X-Men, I had assumed that most of that was going to be Days of Future Past. No, 2 issues. 2 issues out of 7 covers Days of Future Past. There is more page space in here dedicated to a 2-issue arc where we have Kitty Pryde taking dance lessons and Storm being awkwardly jealous of the instructor while Wolverine and Nightcrawler go hunting for Wendigo with Alpha Flight than there is actually with Days of Future Past. Yes, guys, all of that shit I just summed up is literally a 2-issue arc immediately before Days of Future Past. There seems to be more page count dedicated to that than there is to the actual Days of Future Past story. I understand that it would have been a waste to only put 2 issues in a fucking book, but you know, guys, I'm sitting here and I was like looking at this, and out of the 7 issues, really the Days of Future Past issues are really the only good ones in here. And when out of 7 issues, only 2 of them are really decent, that is sad. Now, we started off weak, though, because the first issue covered in here, honest to fuck, is nothing more than Cyclops having a little X-Men history class at Jean's funeral. This big fucking flashback, starting from when the X-Men were first friggin' conceived all the way up to the end of the Dark Phoenix saga, and that issue ends with Kitty Pryde joining the X-Men, or actually showing up at the school. And then it just sort of carries on from there. This, honest to God, is less Days of Future Past and more just Kitty's earliest moments with the X-Men. A little bit of trivia that I did not know is that I always thought that Kitty's code name was always Shadowcat. I did not know that in her early days she was known as Sprite. Frankly, Shadowcat is a cooler name. Is this book worth the $20 price tag? Well, it would be cheaper than buying the 2 issues that the actual Days of Future Past arc makes up. Unfortunately, you're getting 5 kind of subpar issues on top of that, so it's kind of sort of a mixed bag. It's fucking readable, but it's nothing ultimately special. Alright, now the other one was one I was kind of psyched for because it's fucking premise I've always loved, and that is Nazis and time travel. I'm talking about Chrono Crusaders, or Chronos Crusaders, I'm sorry. This book, the artwork in it is beautiful, I can totally tell you that much. The time travel storyline, though, at least the whole going back in time to the age of dinosaurs, that feels so tacked on. There is no reason for the Germans or the Sarge and his crew of fucking commandos to go back to that time period. There is literally none. It would have made sense perhaps if the Germans were trying to capture dinosaurs and bring them to the present time. But no. It's this long-winded thing about how the Germans are going to try to stop the U.S. Watchmaker Project, which is what created the time machine in the first place, thereby ensuring that they can win World War II. It was really just kind of lazy. The writing made very, very little, sense. The only thing I can really say about this book, guys, is that the artwork is beautiful, and perhaps maybe if the writers knew what the fuck they were talking about, it might have actually been a fun read. Unfortunately, it just feels tacked on. It just sort of feels like it was written by somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they really wanted to do and were just told, hey, we need you to write something about dinosaurs, Nazis, and time fucking travel. Just do it. And they phoned in a kind of lackluster turd. I was so happy when I was done reading this. And this thing is totally a volume, 1. I have no intention of reading volume 2, because I really don't think the story is going to get anywhere. Now, I mentioned earlier that we haven't gotten a whole lot of DC in Comic Bento boxes past. At least I haven't. In the year plus I've been getting stuff from Comic Bento. DC is like the one publisher that gets very little recognition. Actually, it's like them and Dark Horse get almost nothing. But I finally got to read the one DC book I have memory of getting, which was Superman Batman Vengeance. And I didn't know what to think of this. I have read the first few issues of Superman Batman, and I thought that they were really interesting. For those of you who want to know, those first few issues were then turned into the movie Superman Batman Public Enemies, which was also really good. Vengeance, I wasn't sure what I was getting into, and what I got into, at least by the end of the book, wound up being a follow-up to one of my favorite Superman arcs of all time. This is going to be like a little bit of a spoiler, but by the very end of everything, it's basically found out that everything that happens in this book is like a semi-sequel to the Superman story arc Emperor Joker, which is by far one of my favorites of Superman books ever. It is one of my favorite Superman arcs of all time. This sucker here works as like a partial sequel, and it's basically just this like multiverse mashup where Superman and Batman, as well as, let's see here, Bizarro and Bat fucking Zorro, at least four or five other super fucking girls. There's DC's version of the Ultimates in here. There's the communist Superman from Red fucking Sun shows up for a couple of panels. It's just this huge mashup, and it's a lot of fun to read. I had a blast with this. The humor in it is tight, and the art in it is awesome. Everything in this book, guys, was really, really solid. This is why I wish Comic Bento would give us more DC, because you get a lot of really solid stuff like this. I would love to get a lot more of this and a lot less of Chronos Commanders, or a lot less Valiant, or a lot less of the next book. Let's touch on this one because, I really wanted to like this one. I didn't know what the hell I was getting into, and it wasn't fun. I'm talking about Captain Marvel Volume 1. You guys happen to remember when Guardians of the Galaxy was in theaters and Marvel was trying desperately to make you care about their fucking characters because they knew that they had to basically make Guardians as flavor of the fucking month and popular as possible? They were shoehorned into 2 issues of this thing for literally no other reason than they are in theaters, we need to put them in here. And that led to the 3 most cringingly painful pages to read, as Captain Marvel and Rocket fucking Raccoon argue, I'm not even joking, for like 3, maybe 4 pages, about whether or not Captain Marvel's house cat is a parasitic alien who lays eggs. It was trying to be funny, and it wasn't. And that really sums up a lot of the humor in this book, is its failed fucking jokes. Our story arc is tired and weak. And the saddest part, guys, is that this version of Captain Marvel, I loved her when she was Ms. Marvel back in the fucking day. She was awesome. What the fuck happened between then and now? It's like, shit. I really thought that this was going to be a fun book. It wound up just being a painful, tired mess. I will say that the art in it is decent, and the pacing in it is fine. It's just that the humor and the character, it's basically the humor and the character depth, everything is not there. It's a tiresome, boring mess, and honestly, I was so happy to finish this one. This sucker, again, is a Volume 1. No, I'm not wasting the time on Volume 2. Fuck that shit. Now, the final book is Ordinary. Now, this one was the book about a world where everybody has superpowers except for one guy. We follow the one guy with no known powers. At least that was how the summary kind of gave it. And the way that it actually works is, it is not just a world where everybody has powers, it's a world where everybody gets them out of left field. It is like everything's fine, perfect, normal, suddenly, boom, the entire world is hit with superpowers, and that apparently turns everybody into a fucking sociopath because all of a sudden major cities are on fire. And there are murders and robberies and death and everything else, and our little nebbish freelance plumber here is the one guy with no powers who wants to try to find his son. And the story and the story in it is really cool. It's really fascinating. The one thing I didn't like is that a whole lot of the powers that are, like a whole lot of the powers which come up feel kind of stupid. Which, mind you, that was probably by choice, because if everybody has superpowers, not fucking everybody's going to wind up with a friggin' winner. So you wind up with the guy who, anytime he gets scared, he blows up, and he apparently scares incredibly easy. Or you've got the guy with the fucking Midas touch who turns everything into gold. Or you have the 2 brothers, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, yes, that is their fucking names, who suddenly turn into this, like, two-headed beast. Or the guy who randomly turns into a bear for no other reason than he turns into a bear. I will say that as far as humor goes, because the book is trying to be funny, it is definitely funny. And our pacing here is really solid. Our characters here are really cool. The ending, honestly, just seems to be sort of rushed. But, oh well, that honestly is not a terrible thing. This thing here is definitely worth picking up if you can find a copy of it anywhere. The book is only about $15. I can definitely recommend it. And in all honesty, I was a little bit wary about this one after I read Chrono's fucking Crusaders. I wasn't sure if I wanted to trust anything else from Titan Comics. Ordinary showed me that Titan Comics can actually publish some decent shit, which is weird. I had never heard of Titan Comics until I started getting Comic Bento, and they've sent me more Titan books than they've sent me DC or Dark Horse. That's, again, a little bit bothersome. Anyway, so back onto this month's offering, the foursome from Valiant. Is it worth the $25? Realistically, yes, because shit, I'm going to assume most of those books. I'm not going to go and look at the cover prices right now, but most of them are probably about $15, $20. So you're getting you're definitely getting your money's worth there. It's just I'm not really sure if a big box of Valiant trades is really worth the time and the effort. I'm certainly hoping for next month's offering to be better. I believe next month's theme is robots, so that should at least be halfway, decent. But yeah, I was definitely a little bit let down by this month's box, just because I honestly thought it was going to be something which the fans of Comic Bento wanted, and instead it's like, no, fuck you. It's just because we're fans of Valiant Comics. That just seems like such a massive dick move on the part of Comic Bento. But oh well. Now I have a pile of Valiant books I get to add to the stack I still have to get through. I'm probably just going to try to figure out what the fucking chronological order is on those, and I'll just start reading them in order. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this installment of What's in the Box. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.